What's up, Nerd Fam? Today we're giving flowers to a legend we've actually had the honor of talking back to, the one and only David Nakayama. His comic book covers are straight up wall art, and if you've seen our interview with him, you already know the man puts insane love and detail into every single piece. So today we're counting down our top 5 favorite David Nakayama covers, and trust, narrowing it down was painful. Let's get into this beautifully illustrated chaos. The art of the comic book cover is a delicate dance. It is a promise and a prologue, a single frame tasked with conveying motion, emotion, and intent. In this demanding field, David Nakayama has carved out a distinct and celebrated space. His work demonstrates a keen understanding not just of anatomy and color theory, but of the language of storytelling. To appreciate his contribution is to look past the surface gloss, popular as it is, and see the architecture beneath. It's an architecture built on deliberate choices, a deep respect for character, and an almost playful willingness to manipulate the conventions of the medium. Here are the top 5 David Nakayama comic book covers for Wolverine 25. Variant cover. This cover is built on momentum. From the first glance, you don't see a static image. You see a scene in motion, captured at the peak of tension. Wolverine, mid-air, claws extended, is not just the focal point, but the kinetic center. David Nakayama knows how to command space without cluttering it, and this piece does just that. The layout is shaped like a funnel. All lines lead inward toward Wolverine's body, as if the composition itself is collapsing around him. The other figures, including Colossus and Nightcrawler, are also part of the fight. Nakayama frames them with intention, their poses caught in arcs that mirror Wolverine's descent. Their anatomy is exaggerated, but never distorted. Every limb has weight, every gesture has direction. Color tells the story just as clearly as line. The background is warm and saturated, with reds and yellows evoking heat, friction, and aggression. Wolverine's costume contrasts against this background with bold primary tones, keeping him in sharp focus. The light lands on Wolverine like a spotlight on stage. He is meant to be seen first, understood second. Nakayama is a designer as much as an illustrator, and as such, every square inch of this cover is balanced for impact. Look at the way the background elements fade out in soft focus, making the foreground figures stand out. The viewer's eye moves across the image in a clean path. You're never lost in detail. The chaos is staged, not random. What separates this from similar covers is restraint. The action is intense, but not over-rendered. The muscles are defined, but not grotesque. The scene is busy, but the message is clear. Nakayama lets the narrative tell itself through pose and composition. There's also character in this image. Wolverine doesn't just look fierce, he looks inevitable. His arms are back, his legs trailing behind, his body aligned like a weapon. You understand everything about his purpose from the way he's drawn. There is no confusion in the gesture. He is attacking, and the result will be decisive. Nakayama captures the moment before impact, not after. That choice matters. It leaves room for tension. Silk, 2023, 125 variant cover. This is a cover that understands glamour as armor. Cindy Moon, dressed for the red carpet, stands poised against a background of flashing lights and implied attention. David Nakayama chooses not to emphasize combat or movement here. Instead, he captures confidence through stillness. It's a superhero portrait reimagined as celebrity photography. The gown is the centerpiece. It is elegant, flowing, and unmistakably a nod to spider silk. The folds ripple with motion, yet the figure wearing it is perfectly composed. The design works on 2 levels, as fashion illustration and as character storytelling. Nakayama gives the fabric a high-gloss texture that catches the light in arcs. Every highlight is precise. The dress glows at the shoulders and along the hem, emphasizing structure without distraction. Silk's posture is upright and intentional. Her expression is calm, slightly distant, and composed. There's no exaggerated smirk or overplayed defiance. Her strength is in the stillness, the ease with which she holds attention. Nakayama frames her with a shallow depth of field, letting the background lights blur into bloom. That visual softness contrasts against the hard lines of the dress and Cindy's angular stance. It's cinematic, but not sentimental. Marvel's SpiderMan variant cover. On this cover, David on stillness, framing the hero in an iconographic way. SpiderMan is centered, crouched in silence, the red and black of his suit pushing hard against the flat crimson background. The result is a cover that reads instantly and sticks in memory. The webbing wraps around SpiderMan in clean arcs, almost like a frame. It doesn't tangle or sprawl, it defines space. Nakayama uses them to anchor the pose. SpiderMan's body language is loaded with tension. His hands are forward, his head tilted just slightly. The pose is readable from any angle. The suit, drawn from the Insomniac video game design, is treated with attention to both accuracy and aesthetics. Nakayama stylizes it without softening the detail. The eyes are expressive. The musculature is controlled. There is no background city, no skyline, no clutter. The backdrop is a deep, nearly solid red, which brings weight to the figure. Nakayama often uses color fields like this to elevate the character. Here, it keeps your eye from wandering. The color implies danger and urgency, but the pose counters it with patience. This is a Spider-Man in thought, not attack. That tension is what gives the image its pull. When it comes to the lighting, it is graphic, not naturalistic. There are hard-edged highlights on the suit, particularly along the shoulders and thighs, emphasizing shape and movement within stillness. The webbing's gleam is treated with care. It reflects light without overwhelming the figure. Nothing distracts from the central composition. Nakayama removes everything that isn't essential. That editorial sharpness is part of his signature. There is also a sense of tribute in this piece. The positioning, the clean field of color, the clarity of form, all of it recalls the bold minimalism of classic comic book design. Yet Nakayama is not recycling, he is refining. This cover speaks directly to fans of the character who recognize the balance between classic iconography and modern execution. Wonder Woman number 800, variant cover. On the cover, Wonder Woman stands upright, shield to the side, lasso curled, head high. David Nakayama builds this cover from balance and proportion. It does not move toward you, it holds its ground. Diana is centered with full authority. The stance is wide, weight equally distributed. The anatomy is structured for impact. Nakayama gives her size without exaggeration. She looks strong because her frame is drawn without hesitation. The limbs are thick, the chest is armored, and the waist is compact. The color choices are precise. Red, gold, and blue dominate, but remain flat enough to retain clarity. The lighting hits her across the chest plate and forehead, bringing forward the metallic texture without creating glare. Her skin tone is natural. Her facial expression is set, not blank. The eyes look directly out. No emotion is forced. The power comes from neutrality. Diana does not need to smile. She does not need to frown. She only needs to be seen. The background fades to a hazy, almost clouded white, like a morning sky before it fully wakes up. Nakayama removes distraction again. He trusts shape and structure to carry the weight of the page. The shield is detailed but not ornate. The lasso rests at her side with just enough curl to suggest readiness. Nakayama knows that props in superhero art must serve the figure, not compete with it. Nothing in this image pulls your attention away from Diana's center line. Even her hair is composed to frame the face, not float freely. The strength of this cover lies in how little it asks for reaction. You don't look at this and think of what she might do next. You think about what she already is. That restraint creates gravity. This cover reminds the reader what Wonder Woman is built to represent: stability, honor, and command. Deadpool and the Mercs for Money, hip-hop variant cover. This cover draws from a very specific cultural reference, the Flatbush Zombies' 3001: A Laced Odyssey, and fuses it with Deadpool's irreverent personality without slipping into parody. David Nakayama brings together comic book composition and album art attitude, treating both with equal weight. The result is a character portrait that feels very well designed. Deadpool is front and center, legs wide, head tilted, eyes sharp under the mask. He's crouched slightly, his hands raised in a relaxed, cocky gesture. Nakayama gets the point of homage without merely copying. The reference is clear, but the execution belongs entirely to the comic book page. The background is saturated in saturated tones of burned oranges and deep reds, evoking smoke, dusk, and heat. but it doesn't overpower the figure. Nakayama gives Deadpool a clean silhouette against it. The lighting is graphic, almost artificial. You can see the light sources in the way his suit reflects along the folds. He's placed in an environment, but that environment is abstracted. Details pop where needed. The belt, grenades, holsters, and weapons are rendered with restraint. Nakayama never overloads the image. Even the katana handles are given soft highlight, not edge-for-edge precision. The emphasis stays on shape and posture, not props. The typography is handled like an album design. The logo is pushed down, clean and low, so the figure rises in the frame. There's negative space above Deadpool's head. This space is intentional. It allows the figure to breathe and gives the viewer time to absorb the attitude rather than just the form. Nakayama understands that hip-hop album covers are about presence. They work because they feel occupied, hence this cover feels occupied. What's remarkable here is how still the image is. There's no action or weapon discharge. Deadpool simply exists within the scene. That confidence is a design decision. It mirrors the tone of the reference art while translating it through the visual language of superhero storytelling. The posture is casual, but nothing is sloppy. The line work remains tight, the shadows are defined. The background fades where it should. I wouldn't say this is my favorite cover, but maybe it is. That's our top 5 Nakayama covers, but let's be real, the man doesn't miss. If you haven't already, do yourself a favor and watch our full interview with David Nakayama. Right here on the channel, we hawk everything from artistic process to dream characters and variant secrets you don't want to miss. Drop your favorite cover in the comments, hit that like, subscribe, and go dig through your long box, because you just might own a piece of comic history.